Boom. Here we are.
All
Who's
right.
running the pre-show? I just realized we didn't talk about that.
I think we all do. So this is it. I mean, I'll do a little. This
We'll
is.
help you find the right thing.
Ad.
Dip. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's all going down.
While you sort that, welcome everybody.
Oh, you're
nice digital filmmaker, 360 grad, Deacon, Travis, building sheriff, Travis, and others. Welcome, Harrison.
Yeah.
So where are you at this week, there, boss?
Who are we talking to?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
I am. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm doing a project for Zeiss.
Exciting.
On their Bodice family of lenses. And on Monday, we were the first people to come into Red Rock Canyon Conservation Area and shoot since the government shutdown in the U.S. And Ben is really happy and has entered into a rave. He is frozen. Yep. He is the happiest I've ever seen. Let's actually go full screen on Ben. Or will it reset?
Oh, poor guy.
Oh, dang it.
He's trying to take care of his life, and you're just...
No, I don't mean it like that.
Oh, it's just black. Yep.
So I've been here doing this project, and we shot Red Rock Canyon Conservation Center on Monday. We did a whole bunch of drone stuff. So we're up on the 600 with the A7 III and all 5 of their lenses. And then we did some Ronin S stuff, and then we shot yesterday, and then today I went over to WPPI just for a few hours to say hi to some people, you know, from the companies, the peeps.
Right on.
And that's the deal. How about you, dude? What have you been up to?
Just in that awkward funk of like, there's so many projects in the works, trying to figure out which ones to get some work done on.
Yeah.
I wish what we did was linear, but it never is.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, okay, all pre-production. Well, not for YouTube and content creation, at least. You know how it goes, you know.
Yeah,
it's not just like, write the idea, shoot it, edit it, distribute it. It's always like, all right, we need a shot here for this project. Need to run these tests over here. Need to write a script for this. So,
yeah.
Just trying to sort all that stuff out.
Is it weird for you when you, like when you do a big project, and I'm assuming that your camera guides, they take a long time. It's, so when you do a camera guide and you finish that camera guide, is there sort of a void, or do you have so much scheduled out? It's just sort of like, okay, now we can get to that stuff. How does it work for you?
For the YouTube stuff?
Yeah, for the YouTube stuff.
I should be scheduled way out, but usually I've been week to week here for a while. Okay. Part of that is only being able to shoot in the afternoons when the house is quiet.
Yeah.
But just yesterday looked at several spaces. So looking at getting a studio in the area.
Interesting.
And I think I found the perfect spot yesterday.
Really?
Quiet, really quiet. It's like a concrete building.
Yeah.
There's only like a couple tenants. They're all really quiet. Even when I met them, they're like, hello. And complete control, a nice space size-wise. I want to say 1,200 square feet.
Nice-ish.
Ceilings could be higher, but for me, anything's higher. So,
I knew you were going to say something about the ceilings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. We'll see if we can make that happen.
That's great. So that's kind of like that's the next step expansion for you, which is pretty awesome.
It'll be nice to shoot just anytime of the day.
That's awesome. And then will you move kind of everything primarily over there and just kind of
No. I think the way I'll mainly do it is kind of the YouTube HQ here and post, and then that will be where I do the long form stuff. So just rolling in, shooting for a week. And I'll probably shoot some YouTube stuff over there too, because I can do more lighting. But I'll keep most of the stuff here. But I bet each of us could have a separate studio and we wouldn't feel it in the way of gear back and forth, you know, just have a whole kit over there.
It's the pain in the ass is it's always in the wrong place.
You're right. Yeah.
So just some shout outs. We've got the Grumpy Penguin here. Always glad to have the Grumpy Penguin. 360 grad. The Building Sheriff. That's an epic handle right there. And we've got Decon, Barden, Travis coming in. and there's we're so unorganized, Travis. I mean, people have been asking for a podcast of this. I don't know if that's really something people want, but some people have asked for it.
More than one.
We're committed to this to this show. We're at episode 18. The question is sort of, how does it evolve? So, I think it's good. But we have to kind of figure it out. So as we get into the next month or two, I think we're going to start to figure it out. And the three of us are going to have really quite a bit of time at NAB to talk some stuff out, I think. And once I'm done with the workshops that Monday through Thursday, we're going to be able to talk out some stuff and kind of figure some things out. So I'm excited about it. Yeah, so it's good. We got Bill in from Chicago. Inbox Media Chicago. So we're getting some Midwest representation from the Windy City. Love it.
Love it.
And then who else? Harrison, great show. Don't change a thing. I don't think we will. I mean, the question is just whether or not we do an audio component to it. And we haven't really talked about that. I don't think it's hard for us to do it. No. And, we could publish it. So, and Ben, where are you? Are you home? Oh, you looks at mom's place?
So I might have to wait for the full story of my week until we start the main show, because I think everyone would need to hear the explanation for my unbelievably terrible week. I am in England at the moment, and my kids are here with me.
Yes.
I have damaged one of them.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of nearly there. I can maybe tell this story right now. I guess there's enough people in to sort of excuse the pretty shitty audio visual quality of me tonight. So I'm working in the UK this week. I brought my kids on Friday.
Yeah.
And I was going to have the weekend with my mum, and then I've been filming this quite interesting conference this week about special forces and the psychology of special forces. So I've been interviewing lots of quite interesting, slightly scary people from the world's special forces all week. But I was going to hang out with the kids and my mum over the weekend, took them to my brother's house Saturday morning, playing on the little motorbikes around there, and my 7-year-old daughter fell off and broke her shoulder right across here. So in amongst doing the conference, I've been having to run backwards and forwards to hospital for a point. She's home, she's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, going back to all of that, and then I've just worked this is the second day on this gig from 6:30 this morning, and it's now 11 p.m. at night, and I got back about an hour ago. Man. In between two sessions there, that I went and put everything in the store that we're using, went out to have a meeting with someone. Because we were done with the shoot for the day, came back, and security had locked all my gear in. So hence I am on my laptop's webcam and this quality microphone. Nice. So apologies for that from the off, but yeah, so I'm having a week of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is your daughter in a lot of pain, or is she being a trooper? Is she all right? Ish?
Yeah, she's nails, that girl. Yeah, she's fine. She's
okay.
Yeah, she's all right. She's not really in any pain, and her arm, like, she's just in the sling. They didn't cast it, they didn't have to pin it, which is what they thought they were going to have to do in the end, and they just watched it over the last few days, and it's all nicely aligned. So yeah, it should be no long-term problems. My wife's not going to kill me. First time I've taken them away on my own as well.
Is it left arm?
It's a right arm.
Right arm. Well, when she's 13, that shit's going to be bionic, and she's just going to something's going to change. Like right now, her entire right side of her body is reconstructing itself. She'll be one of those people who can like do 1-inch punches and just like knock them across the room. So yeah, it'll be badass.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I didn't know about that. That's horrible.
Well, because it's all been chaos ever since. So yeah, but that's been my week.
So whenever I go out of town, not whenever, it's actually been a pretty good run, but this happens when you go out on town for business. There's like horrible things happen. One time I went home, NAB, there was this much water in our basement. What am I supposed to do? 5 o'clock in the morning. This time within hours of me, I got here and we lost power because it was a snowstorm. Jess was driving up the hill to our house, and there was so much ice that even in 4-wheel drive, she slid backwards and had to like emergency brake and pull into the grass. I didn't get the text until 45 minutes after it happened. So it was one of those. And then schools closed, and at least there's nobody sick. But gee, okay, we're on. Oh captain, oh golden child of golden boys of the world, take us in to the magic place of camera and Flask.
Well, with that introduction, everybody, welcome. For those who might be new, let us know. It'd be great to see you guys in the chat. If you're new, I see the old guard have settled in. Hopefully you all have a beverage of some type. Thank you so much for joining us. And for those who are new, we do this every single week at 6 p.m. Eastern here on Jem's channel, the C47, which is where we are right now. So this week, we're going to be talking about software and tools we use on our computer machines to make movies and videos. But first, we're going to do the most important thing that we do every single week. What are you looking at? What are you doing over there, Jem?
You're saying you're saying computer machines. Computer machines. Which was cute. And then somebody was telling me this story the other day that you can actually refer to, I don't use Alexa, but you can, instead of saying Alexa, you can say, hey, computer. So you can change the name of Alexa to computer. And then there's something else like Bob or something. So anybody who has Alexa, it could be really fun to just say computer, and you'd be much less likely to trigger, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Yeah,
they just triggered everyone's stuff.
I liked it.
Yeah. So so we're going to talk about what we're drinking first. Ben, I'm sure you're ready, man, if you haven't already partaken.
And do your intro for people who don't know who you are, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
So my name is Ben Barden. I'm a filmmaker, photographer, and this week I am in the UK, which is where I'm from. I'm actually at my mum's house, but I live in the Czech Republic. I have just my laptop webcam today, which is why the image is bad, and also a crappy connection. And what am I drinking this week? So I've literally just flew into the drinks cupboard, and we're getting a little low on scotch in here. Or Mum's getting a little low on scotch. So I'm on with some port, which actually,
very nice.
After the day I've had, feels like it's going to have a kind of a soothing quality to it.
Very nice.
With wrapped
after a long day,
warm blanket. Yeah, I think it'd be good.
I like that you have the appropriate port glass. Oh,
that was a guess. Is that an appropriate port glass?
Right, but maybe not. But it seemed like it was.
Looked right to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks right.
I don't know for sure if it is, but
I think it looks good. With it. I don't really know. Yeah.
No, me neither. Good. We'll just pretend we do.
Alexa. So we have Alexa cameras, and we also have the Amazon Alexa, and I think everybody on this channel who's in the room, whatever we call this, should change it from Alexa to computer, because we're just going to keep triggering Alexa every single time I say that. So that's what Bart said.
Oh man, how about you, Jem?
So I'm in Las Vegas.
Who are you? What are you drinking?
Jem Schofield, the C47, and I'm here doing a project in Vegas area, not really Las Vegas, for Zeiss. So I'm here till tomorrow. And I decided when I went to go get crafty, which I normally do at a store we have here in the U.S. called Trader Joe's, that because I was out of the state of Oregon, where they cannot sell spirits because of the state-regulated laws in Trader Joe's, I said, I'll go get some scotch at Trader Joe's, which I can get here and in California. And so this is interesting. The guy who helped me is actually a scotch drinker, and he said, try this. It's a Speyside single malt. He said it drinks more like a 10 or a 12. It's an 8-year. I would never buy an 8-year. And it's actually quite lovely. It's a Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey, matured in oak casks. It doesn't have a lot of peat or anything like that, but it's smooth going down. It's not burning. It's without even water. It's pretty easy drinking. $17.99.
Get out of here.
In shock. And they have a 10-year for like $24. Blown away. So that is what I'm
have
drinking.
To check that out.
I am very excited about
I didn't even
it.
think to go to Trader Joe's.
I'm amazed that this is incredible that you've lowered yourself to an 8-year-old, Jem. That's
well, you know what?
Okay.
I would never touch an 8-year-old.
It's only because of the it's only because of the conversation with the guy. I was like, I'm going to do it.
Such
what?
a whiskey snob.
Are you taking the piss?
Me.
Are you taking the piss? Okay. And Caleb, what are you drinking, my friend?
So, on my journey of discovery, I've been all over the place with single malts and recently picked up a couple blended just to like what's up with blended.
Yeah.
Because I've never had blended whiskey or scotch before.
There's some great ones.
What? Are there some good ones?
There's some great blended whiskey.
You'll have to tell me about them. So far,
Sure.
I've tried 2. Next week, we'll talk about the second one, which I'm not terribly enthusiastic about. This one isn't bad. It's, let me just pull it up here. Let me do my zoom in.
Here's, sexy kid. Oh, monkey shoulder.
Monkey shoulder, yeah. Got the monkeys.
There's not very much of that monkey shoulder left.
No, unfortunately. So I've got to back up.
Okay, good.
So,
Good
we'll go
for
there. Anyway, monkey shoulder. Not bad at all. Very, very, very easy to drink. Clearly. And yeah. But I don't know much about blended. I know some people are like, you can't do that blended crap.
Honestly, I buy my daily driver whiskey, which I need to buy again next week. There's one from Lidl, which is kind of like Oldie, but I don't think you have them in the States.
Okay.
But it's essentially the same thing. And they do, it's a brand that's obviously made for them by somebody else.
Yeah.
But they call it a Queen Margot. And they do, it's only a 5-year-old one, but that is such an easy, just to save all my really good single malts.
Yeah.
From me drinking them too fast. It's perfect cooking whiskey.
Great. And when
you drink daily.
Yeah. So when Ben says it's perfect cooking whiskey, he means when he's cooking, this is the perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Drinking while he's cooking. So I don't think he's cooking with it unless he's making like a sauce for his haggis or something like that. Yeah. Okay, good. I think I'm actually going to do it, Ben. I got a link from my friend on making haggis. The problem is that in the States, you can't get the lung. That's the problem. It's outlawed here. What
do you mean it's outlawed? The shit you get to eat meat. Why isn't
tell me about it. For some reason, in 1971 or 1972, there was a problem with some of the the lungs or something. Not even here, apparently. So I can't even get lung. All right, forget that. I don't want to have that conversation. Caleb, we're gonna have you have some haggis one day. Here we go.
It's
haggis. Yep.
Okay.
I think you have to be properly Scottish to enjoy that stuff.
To fully enjoy that. Well, gentlemen, what do you say we cheers it up? And then we'll jump into this topic, this here topic. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Thank you for joining us. Bottoms up. Cheers.
All right, here we go.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. Anyway, carry on.
Right. Big Mac with big. Okay. Nice grumpy. So this week we're gonna jump into the software tools we use.
You're cutting out a little bit, Caleb.
Audio, video, everything.
You seem to be cutting out a little bit.
That's maybe just at your end. He was fine with me.
Check 1, 2.
Okay.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we talked about this. We didn't settle on an exact number of things we'll talk about, but I thought each of us could go through. We'll start with our NLE of choice, primary, or our favorite, the one we enjoy using the most. Maybe some tools and plugins along with that. And then we'll cycle through just other software we use. So, Ben, you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just making faces because the glass, I think, had washing up liquid in it. That's quite tainted.
Oh,
that's not a good blend. If you're ever thinking of trying to make a new cocktail,
it's a soapy port. We call it the soapy port.
And maybe after we're done, maybe at some point we can all email Jem our picks and he can put them in the description.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'll try to do my best to find them on online and just dump them in the chat in the meantime. So,
cool.
Ben, what you got?
So we're going to start with NLE.
Correct.
Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So the NLE that I use the most, still Premiere a little, but more and more Resolve for many reasons, primarily because on the same machine, stuff that Premiere just trips over, so raw files, stuff like H.265 stuff, it tends to really struggle unpacking as it plays back. Plays back normally infinitely better on the same machine on Resolve.
Got it.
So that was the main driver. But then also, as everyone knows, it's an incredible color corrector. And that color management throughout, particularly dealing with raw stuff now, and being able to then put, to tell that how you want that raw file to be dealt with. So if it's C-Log, whether you're going to debug that to C-Log 2 or 3, and then you, with the node system, it's very visual. You can do all of this in Premiere as well, of course, but it's so clear what's going on. It's so easy to lay things out, label that node. This node is the conversion from raw to C-Log, whichever, and then another one to say a C-Log 2 to a 709, for example. So it's very easy just to keep things nicely managed and clean throughout. I find it also pretty intuitive. If I'm doing stuff that's got a lot of graphic element to it, then I still prefer Premiere, just the way that it dynamically links with Photoshop files and everything else. And there's still a weird bit of aliasing that goes on, and it seems well documented with graphics particularly, and Blackmagic still haven't sorted it out fully. The other really nice feature of that, and this is on the free version as well, is if you're working on location and you want something to manage your backups, it's amazing for that. So you can put multiple drives into your machine, you can put your media in, you can tell it you want it to duplicate it to, say, 3 drives, and it'll do that overnight while you're sleeping and checksum it all. You wake up in the morning, it's all done without you having to be pulling drives left, right, and center.
And the thing, DaVinci you're talking about?
Yeah, this is all within Resolve.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Great.
And that's in the free version as well. So the difference between the free version and the paid version has got smaller and smaller now. And fully paid version is, I think, $300.
Yeah, 2 to 3, somewhere in there.
And that's a one-off purchase. And it's now grating on me paying nearly £50 a month for the Adobe suite when that is so much good. But the free version does a huge amount. It doesn't do the noise reduction. I think it's limited to resolutions, but I'm pretty sure the free version does 4K now. But feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I'm fairly certain it does. So NLE wise, that's where I'm going more and more towards. And as soon as they sort this graphics thing out, I don't tend to use it because a lot of the people I work with, I don't know if Jay goes in tonight, but we work together a lot on stuff, and we just keep our Premiere versions up to date. We have our media each if we've been on a job, and then we just ping the Premiere file backwards and forwards on a Dropbox link as we work on it.
Nice.
Whereas he doesn't really use Resolve at this stage. So I'm still a little stuck with Premiere, but it's more through necessity than actually wanting to.
Yeah.
And hopefully over time that need gets reduced, because I feel like Premiere is still a big deal, or at least there's just so many people using it. But over time, I'm hoping Resolve puts the screws to them, and Final Cut for that matter. Nice. Should we each go around then, and then do kind of one each? Maybe we'll kind of mix it up. So Jem, what you got?
So from a post-production standpoint, as a business, it really depends on the project we're doing. Client driven, we cut in Premiere if we need to. And sometimes that is a requirement because the client may be sort of somehow in-house Premiere based. Or there may be a project where I don't really care. I just want a really good editor. So it doesn't matter to me. But I have really settled on most of the stuff that I'm cutting personally on Final Cut Pro 10. And it has a very mature plugin architecture, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And the motion engine that drives the graphics is actually very powerful. Great keyer inside of there. And it's very friendly with lots of different formats and codecs. And so I find that from especially a rendering standpoint, it's just so fast to work inside of that app. And so I do find that for what we're doing now, my biggest gripe is it doesn't have a built-in mixer. And I come from, Final Cut from prior to, and Final Cut Studio and the previous version. But other than having no audio mixer, I would say that I don't feel like I'm lacking in terms of what I can do inside of that application, except for, of course, in many ways, I do miss the whole studio component, which of course is why people are drawn to things like, CC, and having the ability to go to After Effects and Photoshop and, Audition and all of the things that you can do related to, it's still Audition, right? Or did they replace the audio component?
No, it's still Audition.
Yeah, Audition. So, so that's what I'm using, and I'm very happy with it. I think that it's, it's intuitive once you get past it's not like all of the other NLEs. I'm fascinated by what's happening with Blackmagic and Resolve, and it's very, very powerful, and it's becoming very deep as they make all of these acquisitions to these different companies. I don't think it's going to be the solution for me personally, and I've used plugins to kind of get access to the things that I personally need when it comes from a color standpoint. But I'm happy with Final Cut, and I like how fast it is. So it's working well for me, but I don't have a loyalty in the sense of I'm brand loyal, and that I don't care what anybody else cuts in the sense that you find the tool that works the best for you and your workflow. Really, in the end, JK&L, in and out points, slip slide, the basics of editing are primarily the same. And so unless you're doing something very, very complex, it has a very complex pipeline and working with lots of other people, for me, it's a good solution, and it works well for what I'm trying to do. Yeah, so that's what I'm using most of the time is FCPX. What about you, Caleb? I mean, what are you cutting in most of the time?
Final Cut all day long. Yeah. Just for content creation, for all types of different sizes of projects, it's perfect for archiving. It's so flexible, and for collaborative work, which I'm doing a lot of now. It just works wonderfully. You can button up projects and let someone else take over. So I'm really, really enjoying Final Cut, and it is impressive what they're starting to do. Like, I haven't done the newest update, which I believe opens a whole new world of plugins and what do they call them again?
I think they're called
extensions.
Yeah.
So, oh, wow, I'm spacing on everything. What's the software where you can share rough cuts with clients and stuff?
Frame.io.
Yeah. They have one. I'm sure everyone's going to have one.
Even Shutterstock has one, but it's gonna be great. I love it.
So that's really exciting. What was that sound something back in the day with Final Cut Studio? What was it called? Soundtrack
Pro. I did training course. I did training. My first course that I did on Soundtrack Pro was with at the time, Sienna was like 3 years old, and I did a horror trailer using Soundtrack Pro, and we did all the sound editing in Soundtrack Pro. So I did a whole at the time. I guess it was DVD, but it was a DVD video training course on Soundtrack Pro, and I missed that. I missed some of the tools you had, but I filled those in now with plugins.
DVD Studio Pro too. That's still probably the best DVD authoring if you ever find yourself in that terrible position of needing to.
I paid my bills, Caleb, for many, many years as a DVD Studio Pro trainer. In fact, when Apple came out with it, I had used DVD Studio Pro 1, which was actually based on this German product, which was a completely different DVD authoring environment. And then they came out with DVD Studio Pro 2, which was a whole other application that they had bought and then basically Appleized it.
Oh, okay.
And everybody was becoming certified Final Cut Pro trainers. And I was the black sheep, and I became a DVD Studio Pro trainer because I was doing motion menus and DVDs all the time.
Right.
And I called up all these training centers from Maine to Miami, and I'm like, I'm a certified DVD Studio Pro trainer. And they're like, yeah, okay. And then 3 or 4 months later, all of these corporations wanted to learn how to author their own DVDs in-house. And I started traveling constantly for like years. And I was like one of the main DVD Studio Pro trainers. And that's like, I would do NAB, I would teach DVD Studio Pro, and then eventually Motion. And I mean, that app, if I open it up right now, I probably remember it, but I mean, I haven't authored a DVD in a long time, but it was like my life for a long time. So
Man.
Crazy.
Amazing. Anyone remember Toast?
Oh, of course.
Toast was where it was at, man.
Heck,
Toast saved my life so many times. Anyway, yeah, that's fun to think about.
Nostalgia. Yeah.
So next up, we're jumping into, is there any plugins that, like, you know, if you had to lose your entire machine and all your subscriptions to everything, maybe a couple plugins? Go.
See, things have changed a little bit now, I guess, because all the and we've just been talking about this, I guess, but lots of the things that I used to use plugins for are now just built in, because these manufacturers keep buying them and then just building it in. And I try to avoid them as much as possible, because I know you're working with an editor now, and if you're shuttling things backwards and forwards, and if you're all in the one business, then you're going to have the same plugins. But if I'm then sending stuff to Jago in the UK and he's not got that plugin in, and I'm finding it less and less necessary. But the things that I do use, still use, or Isotope was my favorite of any of those things. Like RX is just the best, the most incredible thing, and what that could do for cleaning up dialogue was just incredible. And I still use now, although the new version of Audition, and actually built into Premiere, it's got a dialogue denoiser, which is getting there. It is, and this is this thing that it's sort of fewer and fewer of these things that we're using. But the ones that I use a lot, which is more of a set of overlays that you can then change, is rampant design stuff. So I use that quite a lot for flares and for textures, and also for graphic overlays. So that I use an awful lot still. And if you've got really just flat stuff, a little one of theirs over, just, I mean, very subtle use of, and you know, only at 10% or something, but it can just liven up flat footage. So I use that on almost all things, and that's great because they're just ProRes files. So you put them on, you just change the blending mode, and you can send those files back to your other editor as if it was an asset, like everything else, rather than it having to be a plugin that works with the NLE.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else that I really use that much anymore.
How about you, Jem?
I don't think.
Well, I'm getting publicly scalded by Mark because I interrupted you. So, which is a problem that I have. But you were talking about Sound Studio and Soundtrack Pro, and then I went into a story. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about that, Caleb?
No, I was just trying to remember what the name was, because I remember I used to get, we don't have to talk about it. Did stupid stuff in it at the beginning, because there's a whole massive library in there of crazy stuff, as you know. Yeah. But I do miss that, being able to pull up, all that. Someone said working with audio in Final Cut is like mixing like vodka and wine. It just gets wild real quick.
Now, you mean nowadays?
Like a legit sound designer or something trying to go in and working with Final Cut. Anyway,
so I was going to say 360. That is the only other plugin that I used, which I had forgotten, was denoising. Do you work with Neat? Yes.
Good old Neat.
I have Neat.
If I'm using Premiere, I use Neat. If I'm using Resolve, I use its own internal denoiser. Yeah.
And that's part of that upgrade, Caleb, for the new update for Final Cut, is it has a denoiser, but I heard it's really only supposed to be for very particular applications. So I haven't looked into that very much yet.
Hopefully it works with ProRes RAW, because that's a mess.
Yeah. Well, we'll be talking about that in Blackmagic, I'm sure, for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love being in Soundtrack Pro and just having like just a little audio clip and just being able to send it to Soundtrack Pro and saying, let me just get rid of that crap you know, and you just in the wave, you know,
all coming back.
Spectrum analysis tool, and you just go in there and you draw like a little rectangle around it, and you like delete, and all of a sudden that high pitched sound is gone.
Yeah.
You know, the noise of me picking my nose or whatever it is. So, you know, whatever. So for me, I echo Mr. Barden. I mean, I don't know what they're doing over at Isotope, but those engineers are genius. And occasionally it gets a little buggy with Final Cut, and it'll slow down the timeline. But generally, I've found that it's pretty good. But you'll see deals from Isotope on RX, the core like 4 or 5 plugins, which has the dialogue denoiser. And sometimes they'll blow that out for like $29 just for the plugin pack. And if you guys see it for sale and you're not using it in Premiere or in Final Cut, because it's its own standalone app, but it's also a plugin, and it's not specific to an NLE. It'll be like you want to install it in Final Cut or in Premiere. It's definitely saved me countless times in terms of audio problems.
Yeah.
So I would say that is the big one. I'm starting to shy away from plugins for looks and LUTs. I am a big fan of Crumple Pop's Koji Advance. I think it's a really great little plugin, and it's also not specific to Final Cut. So if you buy it, you can use it in Premiere. So if it's, you know, it's like you get kind of a double. So I like that one a lot. And I think the FX Factory sort of ecosystem is very strong, and you can get into a lot of interesting things there. And there's usually free trials. So I really like that stuff. But I think I'm similar to Ben, that I'm starting to move away from using plugins. These NLEs are becoming so mature with the features that they have, and it's really nice to just keep it clean. It's bad enough to have to keep track of all of your, you know, your typefaces, font families, and all of that stuff. And so I really do like trying to keep it within the app if I can. And I think that's becoming more and more possible with all of these apps. I think that they're all getting really strong. Are there like key ones that you gravitate to, Caleb, when you're working in Final Cut?
I didn't suspect this, but we all are pretty much on the same page. I try to avoid, for years, I didn't do anything outside of Final Cut. Color, everything was there. And recently I've added a couple little things here and there. I try to avoid, same reason, especially with an editor next to me who's pulling up the stuff on the same drive. It can get really, really hairy. So I have a couple of very specific ones. There's some situations where you just got to do a plugin. So when I'm doing like tutorials on software, for instance, in a guide, I'm so done with keyframing. Every single move. We talked about this, Jem, and online, and I asked a bunch of people for recommendations. So there's some great plugins out there that are free that let you, you know, cute little out of focus zooms and take care of stuff. Otherwise, it's pretty much Color Finale. I'm very happy with Apple's Color, even before they did that big update.
But
I was
really
fine
like
with the color panel.
But I like the wheels now.
Oh, definitely. But the color wall or whatever it was called, you could still, you just had to rewire your brain a little bit. But the wheels are great. But I still like Color Finale for 2 reasons. One, you can preview LUTs beautifully. It's a whole wall, and you can see what each one of them will look like before you apply them. And the one thing I want Final Cut to get better at is kind of an isolator, a better isolator. So if I just want to take my reds and or yellows and just tweak them a little bit, you got to like get the picker out and do the whole thing. Whereas Color Finale, there's a little color pickers, and you just you click on red, and you can change saturation, hue, and something else that I'm not, luminance. So it's wonderful for skin. You can just grab red, bring yellow out of that, you know, right in here. Always right in here, there's a little bit of yellow. You just bump that over to red, take red, and move it around. So I love that. And then I use Final Cut Manager, Library Manager, for managing libraries. It's incredible. If you do a lot with Final Cut, you'll love it. you get a bird's eye view of everything on any drive you point it at, and you can non-destructively clean stuff up. So you can say, you know what, every single library on that hard drive, just delete all the renders, all the transcodes, anything that Final Cut can recreate. You can just blow it away in seconds. It's wonderful.
I think my only issue with Color Finale, and I agree, I really like the UI, I like the LUT preview and everything, is this sort of not planned obsolescence, but this every single time you do, or seems to be every single time you do an update to Final Cut Pro, it kind of breaks it, and you're forced to do some sort of update, but not in a kind way. It's like, you know, an obnoxious message comes up, and I'm just like, well, now I'm just going to wait to update it because I've got to get work done. Whereas most of the others are, well, we'll continue to work unless the architecture has changed a lot.
Right.
I kind of wish that there was a little bit less of a hard sell from Color Finale.
Yeah,
if that's the right way to say.
I think eventually there's no way that software survives forever.
Say that again.
There's no way that software survives forever.
Yeah,
that's gonna go away. But for now, that's literally the only two ways I use it. So I didn't do the newest batch of, oh, look at all the cool stuff we've done.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's cool, and I love what Red Giant's doing. I think they have incredible, you know, plugins. It's just, for me personally, they don't generally fit into the type of work that I do. So I don't tend to gravitate.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, Grumpy Penguin has a question. Is there a good library manager for Resolve? Do you know anything about that? Because it's pretty light on plugin architecture right now, right?
Yeah, I think it's generally been designed to be, they keep adding more things to it. So it does have quite a good manager in it, but it's not, to be honest, I tend to, the way I work, everything's kind of contained in a project. So rather than me opening up and having everything archived and libraries and libraries and libraries in, I tend to just everything's in one, and then that project saved out, and then the next one, and the media's just kept for those. So I don't know, to be honest. I think it works pretty well for what I use it for, and I've not felt the need to try and find anything for it. But I'd be interested to hear if you find something.
Cool.
So, Ben, circling right back around, non-NLE plugin-y stuff. What you got?
Right, so just,
any software that you use a lot?
VLC.
Oh, that was on my list, dude. So good.
I have VLC.
Question for you, Ben. Have you, or either of you, have you ever opened something in VLC that didn't open?
No.
Yes.
That's anything related to media. It's amazing.
That's why you have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like
in my doc.
File. So, case in point this week, another thing I'm working on, which is for we shot this. It's for a conference, and we shot in this factory that makes plastic products and things a couple of weeks ago. And then part of this is they wanted all their employees around the world to film some stuff on their phones about what they were expecting from the conference, and some just some kind of positive messages before the thing started that they play at the beginning. And we got this stuff through, and I just dumped the whole lot into a player to try nothing. VLC did all but one, which then turned out to be a corrupt file.
Yeah.
And then the CEO of the company, who's wanting to review all the stuff, he's going, I can't open them anyway. So I've then sent him the link to download VLC and problem solve, and he can give me notes on what's good and all the rest of it. So yeah, that thing is just magic. Magic.
How has no one else figured out what they're doing?
I don't know.
I mean, QuickTime's gotten so much worse. Remember, there's a period of time where it did a lot of things, but a couple it didn't do, and then you had to like hack the way to getting QuickTime 7 again through some weird download somewhere, and then now it's just like, what is this? It's not an MOV or MP4.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the only improvement with QuickTime at this point is the screen recording capabilities.
Right.
So that's better. It doesn't make any sense either, because if you look at Preview as an app on Mac OS, OS 10, it's pretty great now. You know,
yeah, you're right. You're right.
I you know, like working with PDFs and just sort of working with documents, Preview does some pretty cool stuff. I mean, every single time somebody sends me a PDF, I just open it up. I have all my signatures in there. I fill out everything, and it's just really pretty versatile. So I don't know. I don't know if part of it is the fact that when Apple, maybe I'm wrong here, but my understanding is that Final Cut Studio as a platform and Final Cut Pro especially was really built on the QuickTime engine. And when they built FCPX, that's different. And that's one of the reasons that we don't suffer from the shit crap ass stuff that happens when I just wanted to make sure I get demonetized. The stuff when you're exporting and then it's like 7.5 IRE setup is added to your files, and everything looks great in the timeline, and then all of a sudden your image is brighter when you export your H.264. So Final Cut Pro 10 really solved that problem, but I think one of the ways they solved it is they stopped using QuickTime as the engine that was driving that app. That's my understanding. I may be wrong, but it was so great. That was almost the sell when it first came out. Even it was so immature as an app, was the fact that I could just, create content and then bang it out, and it looked the same when I exported it. And that was huge. And there's still issues with Premiere on stuff like that. Oops, sorry guys. So I think that's definitely something, but yeah, VLC 1,000,000%. And I'm going to swing around and just say it is a plugin now for Premiere and for Final Cut, but Frame.io, I've said this in the past, has changed my life as a person who's doing post-production. So it's just getting more and more integrated, but it's gotten to the point now with Frame.io where with my most recent client, we just set up a Frame.io account that's dedicated to them. They've increased their storage. Their base account is like $29 a month, and it's up to 250 gigs of storage. And it's plenty. And it's so fast. It comes down to this engine and their algorithms. When you upload stuff to Frame.io, it doesn't just have to be video. It can be PDFs and other things. We're using it for video review, annotations, all of that stuff and that workflow, but it's also becoming kind of its own Dropbox for us. So a lot of the stuff that we're sharing with clients and letting them download it, we're doing through Frame.io. So I'm excited about Frame.io a lot. That's very, very high on my list.
Yeah. I'm very excited to move over to that as soon as the last bits of Vimeo stuff I can clear out and shift over to YouTube. Which we've had that conversation before, but yeah, I'm interested in it for sure.
Speaking of Vimeo, quick side note, I found out the other day I'm trying to deal with some stuff with them. Pretty much I have to keep selling with them because I still have some of my old stuff up there.
Yeah.
I have to keep selling with them, or they're going to essentially take away my content from people who bought it, even if they just bought it yesterday.
Get the F out of here. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like people keep looking at me like I'm crazy. But there's whoever's running that part of that company is insane.
Yeah. So all these people will come after me angry, like, what are you doing? I just bought this and you deleted it. Like, nope. Nope.
Yeah, Vimeo has
it's just a matter of time now.
They used to be the safe and also legit community for filmmakers, and they are making it basically impossible for the people that I know who are using that service. I dropped them. I'm done. That's I had Vimeo Pro account for, I don't know, 3 years. It's all over. Bye-bye.
Yep.
I tried to do it, other than that my website is based around me putting things in with the end number of a Vimeo file. So as soon as that's rewritten next year, that's going to be going as well.
Right.
I'm using Dropbox for a lot of what I used that for now.
Interesting.
And I just trialed the Dropbox for Teams because I've got a lot of projects that I'm working with a lot of people on at the moment. And it's not, I can't remember what it is a month. It's not a lot. And that gives you a decent amount of storage, and that whole workflow seems to be pretty good. And that seems to me to be infinitely better value. So yeah, Vimeo's days are numbered with me.
The only beef I have with Dropbox is I accidentally purchased it twice one year with 2 different email addresses. And I went into, because I was going to update my account, and they have a 0 refund policy.
Really?
So I accidentally logged in because I have a personal and a business, right? I accidentally logged in and changed my card or whatever and accidentally bought it twice. So $200 instead of 100. And they're like, sorry, we don't do refunds. Like, what is that? What does that even mean? That's amazing. And I did it within like 5 minutes too. Got on their chat or whatever. Anyway, stupid.
Well, this is what I mean. This is a whole other discussion, and we've talked about it a little. This is what scares me about cloud-based storage. You know, it's a company's policy can change overnight.
Yeah,
and when they're low to no cost, they can do whatever they want.
Yep.
Bart, I absolutely remember using Sorensen Squeeze.
Same here.
You're bringing it all back to me.
MPEG stream clip.
Yes.
So we have any comments here, Caleb?
We do. I see people saying edit ready 1,000 times, and I totally agree. Edit ready is amazing. Super powerful. DLC rocks. What else we got? People were talking about a knockoff lens, which I did see, that Miki lens. It's just like carbon copy visually of the Vedra, which I'm sad I never got to try. Now they're gone. They're done pretty much.
You know what Vedras were? Vedras were kind of like, I mean, they were a lot less expensive, but Vedras reminded me of like the new Fujinons, you know, the zooms, the really lightweight ones.
Yeah, prime versions.
It's like the Fujinons, like those MK, whatever they are, those zooms. Like that's how cool the Vedras were, but for primes, and they were sharp. They didn't breathe. They were, and you know, the housing was all the same size, which was awesome.
And the cost of those things was amazing.
It was awesome.
When I bought the C200 just before then, and I was looking at the new Pocket, and then for reasons we've discussed many times, cancelled that. But for £5,000, you could have got 2 of those and a full set of Vedras. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm
gonna have to look up to see if I can get them used somewhere.
Oh, they come up. If you look on DVX User, they tend to come up full sets on there every now and again for not silly money.
Gotcha. Man, that's heartbreaking. Anyway, all right, so we gotta plow through the rest of our list here and then get to just hanging out with all you beautiful people there in the comments.
Totally.
So Ben, you don't want to rattle off whatever else you got there?
I was going to say the other thing video-wise that I use a lot is, well, for everything, is color profiling software for using with Spider, which I know is not only software alone because it needs the hardware too, but if you're not doing that, you definitely should be, and fairly frequently.
Nice.
So yeah, data color software, whatever comes with the Spider, but that irregular one. And then I guess I also use Bridge quite a lot, just for cycling through media quickly, quick playback, good thumbnail previews, works nicely on PC and Mac, and I use both systems, although I'm probably going to get rid of this Mac. The laptop that I'm on now is the only Apple thing I have left.
Yeah.
It stays a number. I just priced up a new laptop, and no, absolutely no way am I going Apple again compared to...
You're going to get souped up gaming laptop?
Yeah, just which is what I did with my main machine when I went over to a PC.
Yeah.
And just like I have, other than being able to use Final Cut, which I still have, and I do use occasionally, and it's not my main editing software, mainly because of the hardware that I have. But yeah, it's just insane, the prices of Apple stuff now, and I'm kind of done. So
you could pretty easily just get a Hackintosh going, have it on one hard drive on its own.
Right. So I think most of the hardware I built my edit PC with is compatible with. So yeah. I don't know if it's possible, how easy it is to run them both. I mean, I don't miss.
Here's what you do. I'll save you thousands of hours of headache and heartache.
Right.
Buy a 3.5 or 5 point whatever, you know, like the front case size on PC cases.
Yeah.
You can get a SATA switch. So it's got like 4 buttons, and it's essentially on-off switches for hard drives.
Right.
You buy that. It's like $30. You put your Mac SSD on one of those buttons, and you put your PC on the other. You shut her down. You turn the PC off, the Mac on, fire it up. That's the best way to do it. Don't do the dual booting software stuff. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But that's what I used for like several years, and it was gold.
So I will definitely look into that. And I looked into that when I built it. So that's kind of, and that whole thing with Apple, there was this interesting thing when I got my first MacBook Pro. It was the little 11-inch, I think it was. It was the very first metal bodied one. So it was like 2001, 2002. And back then, the thing about having an Apple was, this was before iPhones and all of that. Everyone knew, you take that out in a cafe and you'd be swarmed by people. Everyone knew you were a creative professional. And now my fucking accountant's got one. Come on. Like, you're not special anymore. The Mac doesn't give you that kind of warm, fuzzy special thing. So.
But you get on an airplane now and you walk down the aisle, you know, and
iPads and MacBooks.
Oh yeah, it's iPads and MacBooks. I mean, there's an occasional this and that, but there's more Apple laptops on airplanes than PCs,
sure.
And that was not the case. Yeah, so totally different.
It's just all brand now, and again, just saying the spec difference is just enormous, and I can not justify it any longer.
Yeah. All right, Jem, lightning round. What you got?
Lightning round. So looking down here, I love Affinity Designer. So I think that's a great app for like laying out stuff and doing stuff. Transmit for FTP stuff. So I'm using Transmit anytime I have to FTP.
Or pirating movies. Got it. Next.
What did you say? What did you say?
Or pirating movies. Got it. Next.
No, I don't pirate movies actually.
Okay.
But, yeah, no, but that's no, I don't. And then I personally, it's really a toss-up between Shotput Pro and Hedge. Right now I'm using Hedge for data wrangling. So I just like it. It's fast. It's very simple, intuitive. And, you know, when you're out in the field like this week for this job, I don't have a data wrangler. That's me on this job. So pull everything in. I'm not overwriting any of the cards we shot on this week, but I'm also to 2 hard drives, and I just dump everything to the master, and then I drag it. Basically, I just say transfer to the second drive, and it doesn't have to recopy. It remembers what's on the other drive, and so it's been a really good experience. Check some verification, and then the last one is kind of I wouldn't say it's a curveball, but it's a recent acquisition, and this is from Matt Workman from Cinematography Database, and he used to have a product that was built into Cinema 4D for previs, and he's now got something on the Steam engine and platform, which I guess uses Unreal as the engine, and it's called Cine Tracer, and they just dropped $90 last week for it, and it's still kind of in beta or whatever you call it. It's not even at a 1.0. And Cine Tracer is outrageous. I mean, he's got all of these different locations, and you can go in and you can light. He's got light panels in there. He has, soft boxes. He has practical lights. You're walking down a street, and you can put actors in the street, and you can basically fly a 12 by, and then you can change the intensity, and then you can add a camera person or a floating camera or a camera on a Fisher dolly. It's amazing because I would say that for me as a DP, one of the things that I don't have a tremendous amount of experience in doing is lighting and dealing with large spaces. Most of my spaces are small to medium-sized spaces, and I'm looking out into a larger space sometimes, out of a window or doing an interview outside. But as far as my own education and also educating others, it's very hard for me to say, okay, here's how I might approach lighting a scene that has 5 city blocks, and we're shooting this at sundown or at nighttime. And I think that what Matt is doing is incredible. And that app is just going to keep getting better and better. And if you want to have a tool where you can play with lighting and, and props and talent and all kinds of things. It's amazing. I mean, you can drop yourself into a neighborhood, walk inside of a house, and then say, oh, I'd like to light a scene in here. And you just put a couple of actors in there, and you add some lights and some props and some furniture, and you can start to figure some stuff out. And then you walk down the street and you're in a park. And you're like, okay, now I'm going to do this. And you press T and you cycle through, and it's different times of day. And now it's nighttime. And you add a street lamp and you position it. It's crazy. I mean, and this is baby steps in terms of where the app is right now. Latest episode of Indie Mogul with Ted is actually with Matt Workman. And they're talking about the app. And I think you got to check out Cine Tracer. So that's my lightning round. Those are the ones that I'm going to on a pretty regular basis. And what about you, Mr. Caleb? Pike?
Yeah, that's sick. Once he figures out how to fully integrate, he did some videos on it, scanning a room, and that becomes a part of the game.
Yeah.
He's already done a little bit of that. That's going to be insane. We just lost Ben. I'm going to plow through these real quick. So next one for me is huge, and it's Carbon Copy Cloner. It's an Apple or Mac app. I don't know if it's available on PC, but you point anything at it and then you point another place at it and it'll back it up. You can back up a folder to another folder on a different computer on your network.
Yeah.
Set up schedules, tell it, you know what, also keep the old files until I run out of space. It's like the ultimate flexibility, but like time machine level awesome. So love Carbon Copy Cloner. Post Haste. I use that a lot. So it's a app where you can set up folder structures and even like Final Cut libraries and this whole thing. So every time you start a new project, you just dump the title of the new project, hit go, and it'll automatically create very complex, if you want them to be complex, hierarchy for your project folders. Really awesome. Free. Evernote, just because it's available on every single device.
Yeah.
It all is integrated together. It's a little old feeling now. I hope they kind of get some fresh blood in there. But I have an Evernote scanner, which is way too expensive for what it is. It's like $400 or $500, but it'll scan anything and turn it into a completely searchable document.
Cool.
On the fly, and that's been epic. Affinity Photo and Designer, like Jem talked about. You don't need, you know, the Adobe stuff, in my opinion, unless you're stuck in that, you know, workflow, can open all those files. And then of course BLC does its epic.
Yeah.
So
keep echoing Affinity. I mean, Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, just so strong in terms of what those things can do, and so low cost. I mean, if you buy it on a Black Friday or during a holiday, it's even less.
Yeah.
It's worth every penny at full price, and it's just for what I need to do. It's doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you, real quick question, do you think someday we're going to get to the point where all this software is so advanced that somebody figures out a way to use Final Cut to open Resolve, Premiere, everything, and vice versa? Because right now there's like these features, right? They're just kind of doing this number, and with XML and everything, it's getting very close, but
it depends what kind of chance those companies want to take in terms of the SDKs. Because there's a lot of stuff that's out there from all of these companies to allow things to plug into them. So in theory, some of that or a lot of that functionality could exist. I don't see any of those companies wanting to make their solution available in another person's solution. I might be wrong about that.
Well, I'm thinking like some external party figuring it out as all this stuff advances into the point where it's just
I don't know. I mean, like if I were running a company, Caleb, I think that the concept is cool, but once you actually sit there in a room and you talk it out and you say, what's it going to take for us to support what we're creating here? It basically would be never ending, because you have to make sure that nothing breaks. And how do you do that? And then what happens if Adobe revs Creative Cloud and Apple revs Final Cut at the same time, which generally does go in similar cycles. And then all of a sudden you have to make sure that this thing that you've created, this Frankenstein, is supported across the boards.
Yeah.
And so the concept is amazing, but I don't know, like if like it would be a half an hour conversation that we would talk out, devil advocate, this, that, and I would be like, I'm out. Forget it. That's not where my time is going.
I guess it's interesting. It's hard to see like cameras and things we can predict some of that. Software, it's going to be interesting. We're getting to the point where, okay, Final Cut's stepped up their game clearly. Resolve is killing it. What's Adobe going to do? It's very, very, very interesting now.
But any one of these companies can kill an app anytime they want to. And both Apple and Adobe have done it many times, you know, and they'll create an app that's part of a suite. And then they decide, we've got something that's either better or that, you know, it's just doesn't make sense to us as a company to keep that in the suite. I mean, Apple did it with Shake, clearly. That was a big one. And it went away. Big in concept, not necessarily really big in terms of user base. So we don't want to, you know, like, and the same thing.
Aperture.
Yep. I still use Aperture. I still like the app. Yeah. I mean, because I'm not, you know, I'm not a heavy photo person in the sense of what I do to a photo. So it's still working. It's still supporting. And when they do the raw updates, you know, it's still part of the OS. So when you open up Aperture, it still supports new cameras.
Yeah.
So you know, but it's less important to me than the video aspect of it. So yeah. But I think that there's some really interesting stuff. What do we have comments wise?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, guys, we're about to wrap up here, but there's 40 of you watching, so I want to see at least 20 questions just explode here, real quick.
I was going to just pick up on one about the Paragon. That's really good. If you are, and not just for NTFS, so PC drives on a Mac, but they also do a version that you can install on your PC, which will then read Mac formatted drives. So I travel with my travel drives, one Mac formatted, one PC formatted, and my PC and my Mac will read both with that software, and it's not very expensive. So that's well worthwhile. And I was just going to really quickly mention two other things if you want to scan through and find some more questions quickly. Sun Finder, which is a phone app for finding the sun on any given day, but also Google Earth is amazing. If you go to a location or you can't go recce it, you can find out where that is. Say it's a building you're going to do, or you're going to be in a certain room. You can find out where that's pointing. You can find out where the sun rises and sets on any given day, on any given year. And not only that, is it also takes into account elevation. So if you've got a hill, it will actually show you when the light's hitting it, taking that hill into consideration as to when that's masking the sun. So that's an amazingly useful bit of kit that I use all the time.
Yeah, and please don't forget that you all have Google Earth as a resource, and it is used as a pre-production tool all of the time, because you can say, I'm going to be in this city on this block, essentially filming on the top of this building on this day, and it will tell you exactly where the sun is going to be throughout that day. So you could be planning a project in February for something that's happening in June, and you can pull that data up in Google Earth and get a very good idea of what that's going to be. Now, of course, it can't tell you if it's going to be a cloudy day or a rainy day or a sunny day that day, but at least you'll know the direction of the sun, and you can kind of plan accordingly. And speaking of that, Ben, you brought up Sun Finder. I use Sunseeker. Those apps. You know, at some point, maybe we want to do an episode on smartphone and tablet apps that we're using for video production and filmmaking, because that could be a pretty interesting topic for sure.
Your experience with paid versus paid VST plugins?
Those are audio plugins, right? VST?
VST are audio plugins.
Any experience with them?
Well, so I don't think it's a matter of, it's just that a VST, as I understand it, is a plugin that multiple bits of software can use. It's just like a standard, isn't it? It's not a determination whether it's paid or not. So if you get RX, for example, you get the standalone stuff, and then you get the VST plugins, I think.
Interesting. Baron asks, any thoughts on external graphics cards? I would check out Back to Mac, or no, 9 to 5 Mac.
Okay.
On YouTube and Twitter. He's tested like every single one, but it's pretty wild what's going down right now. You know, little MacBook, plug in a external.
Yeah, that is now the best Mac for video editing.
Yeah,
is a Mac Mini.
Tyler Stallman. Do you guys follow him? I feel like Ben,
No.
you would love him, especially. He's a photographer, video guy. He just did a shoot. There's some edit house over on your side of the world, and he had an editor on, and they talked about their whole suite every suite is just a room with a dude and a MacBook, HDR TV, and they all, they're playing with all that stuff right now. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Ton of iOS app for filmmakers. Anything you've seen there, Jim?
Yeah, no, Bart's just talking about iOS apps, and he has a new list. So if we ever do that episode, Bart can jump in and maybe send something ahead of time.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, another one in the can. What is this? A 17? 18? 18. We're going to have to think of something fun for the 25th.
Oh, for sure.
Will we be in Vegas then by any chance?
I don't know. We have to count it out.
It'd be funny if it's the 25th.
Yeah, so
I don't think it's that many. I think we'll be lower than that.
19. Oh, crap and Tosh. Okay. 19.
1, 2, 3, 4,
2, 23.
5, 6.
No, I think it'll be 24. It'll be episode 24. We could just sneak in like
just do 2 hours one week.
Yeah. And just so we can
or just skip one.
Yeah.
Just skip one. A number.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to it'd be fun to we're moving some gear around here. Maybe I can throw in like a giveaway of some kind. Think of something.
Yeah.
I
can do the same thing, by the way, Caleb. We can do like a double. We can do a double giveaway.
Boom.
Yeah, you're having nothing from me.
We could do
Film just showed up at 4. Oh my goodness! Come on,
get your stuff together. We could do like a rapid, like come up with random film, video, anything questions, and the first one to answer it right, boom.
Yeah.
Send them a message.
Trevor, any interest in the future show dedicated to anamorphics? It's a pretty big topic. It's a pretty big topic. Have you watched DSLR Video Shooter's channel? He just did an entire episode on anamorphics, so you should check it out. I'm down for it, but I don't know, at least for Ben and I yet, if we can talk intelligently to it, because anamorphics don't really factor into my production very much at the moment.
Same here. I don't think we could stretch an hour out of it.
Yeah, I could just drink and listen to Caleb.
It would be the Caleb show for an hour.
Well, that's okay.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Okay, good. So take us out, Caleb, and then we'll all say our goodbyes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a good one. Thank you so much for joining us every single week, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Good times. Love these guys. Love you guys.
Love you guys. Everybody.
Godspeed.
Awesome.
Jem.
I guess I'm going to say, if I seemed a little tired today, I am. It's been a production week, and I apologize for that. But I think this is a good topic, some good stuff to talk about, some good solutions to discuss, and sending good thoughts to Ben's daughter and a speedy recovery. So that's all I have. And thank you again for coming in. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Good night, all.
Ben, hang in there. Keep your stick on the ice. Keep the ice on the daughter's arm. And I
just got to get home. Got to get home on Friday, so that's going to be fun with all my gear and I'm hoping they might bump us to business class with a bit more room. Maybe.
Boom. Yeah. Love it. All right, guys. Love you all. Have a wonderful evening. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe. Take care.
Boom.
Bye.
Yes.